Love will never feel like a sacrifice to me. And if it does, that isn't love. Good evening. I must say this is a tad different to the last speech I gave around a fire pit in South Africa. I just wanted to start off by saying a massive thank you to Oxford Union for organising tonight. It's an amazing pleasure to be a part of the Union's second ever all-women's debate. Thanks. You may know me from arguably one of the biggest reality television shows, Love Island. Tonight, I'm supporting the love side of the debate, despite not actually finding love in the villa. Ironic. But I have had a life before and after the show, and I hold my own views and experiences on what constitutes to love. I also have the pleasure to live alongside many women figures in my life that continue to challenge archaic views of gender stereotypes and what women should do. Love Island pushed me to reflect on what love is and what I want. But something I knew I would never do is give up my ambition once I found it. Love lies all around in friendships, families, and networks. From my own experience on the show, one thing I did notice was the public's reaction and how people constantly wanted to pit me against other females. This, in fact, was far from the reality of what I lived. In reality, I was happy for the other women and built strong friendships the public never even witnessed. Even in the season currently playing, women are still being compared, played against each other, and accused of things repeatedly. You may not know that I was actually in No Time to Die before Love Island, when I did my acting work. Not as a villain, that was Love Island, apparently. It's interesting to see the development of how women used to be portrayed in Bond. Do we really still portray women in love as those with hearts in their eyes, unable to move from the sofa, gazing into the air? No. We now portray women as fighting alongside Bond to become the next 007. There are some really harsh stereotypes about women when it comes to love, with the headlines of Love Island focusing on women competing with each other in love and having to sacrifice their female friendships in order to have traditional love with men. That, in my eyes, is totally wrong and is a perception and not a reality. And just one question: where were the male contestants within this analysis and scrutiny? A question could be asked about how love is defined, because people might have love within themselves, or they may have a friend that they live with. This leads me on to talk about the strength and beauty of love in the sense of friendships. I have friends that have been my support network for over 15 years, whom I needed more than ever after being launched into the spotlight. Friendship is a massive foundation for love, and that's not to be underestimated in terms of our happiness, and most importantly, mental health. Friendship to me is a massive positive in my life, acting as support rather than a sacrifice. I'm aware people may see the television and influencer industry as very toxic. However, I've made some incredible bonds with like-minded, strong females, friendship and love, and that's not a sacrifice at all. Leading on from this, there are aspects of life where women are not always so typically supported. Gender inequality still exists, and we need to normalize women who have successful careers and a family while still having a relationship and love. A relationship should empower a career and happiness, not bring it down. Statistics state that among all employees, the gender pay gap was recorded at 14.3% in 2023. This is still below the levels seen in 2019 at 17.4%. Why does this still exist? Women's careers are interrupted to have children whilst men stay at work. I don't think sacrifice is the correct term to describe the decision to have a child. Leaving work to stay at home to look after your children should only be seen as sacrificing too much if it's not your choice. Feminists have fought for the right to choice for a long time, and we should celebrate the amazing work that mothers do to raise their children. It should be seen as a beautiful thing to do because you love your family. It should not be seen as a loss just because you have chosen one thing over the other. If it's not your preference to have to leave your job, this isn't a sacrifice made for love. This is made on the purpose of a poor system which doesn't provide proper support for women so that they can have a career and a family. It's not love making you do this, it's the lack of proper maternity and paternity leave, financial support, and flexible working hours. In conclusion, love is not perfect by any means. There are imbalances when it comes to women's love versus men's, such as pay gaps and the perception of women when it comes to romance. And yes, we absolutely need to fix that, but it doesn't mean women cannot have love without too much sacrifice. As a woman, I strongly value my independence, happiness, dreams, goals, friends and family, and beliefs. Love will never feel like a sacrifice to me, and if it does, that isn't love. If you are in a loving relationship, these things will never be compromised. It's time to stop putting women into boxes, discriminating their gender, and realize they are equal, and we can have it all without sacrifice. If anything, having love empowers us all to do more. Thank you.